Hey, this is Jenn, the Holistic Health Boss, your functional health practitioner and expert. And this week, I am talking to you guys about how you can sleep your way to weight loss and balanced blood sugar. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if that was actually true, if sleep was the magic pill that everybody was looking for in order to balance their blood sugar and lose weight or reverse diabetes and other chronic issues or hormone imbalances? Well, it may not look like the magic pill that you're looking for, but sleep sure does play a critical role in regulating our metabolism and helping us to balance blood sugar, lose weight, reduce inflammation, and restore balance to hormones. Now, there were a couple of recent studies that have been published that show the connection between this. There was a study that was recently published that actually showed that short sleep durations negatively impacted fat cells and their ability to uptake insulin. And insulin is one of the hormones that actually helps to regulate our metabolism and weight loss, as well as it's a major factor in diabetes. And then there was another study that was recently done that also found that short sleep duration or short periods of time actually increases the progression to diabetes. So making the quality of sleep super important for preventing diabetes and overall in regulating insulin, which is one of the key factors leading up to diabetes. But insulin also plays a major role in the ability to maintain weight or lose weight, as well as with hormone balances. So we have to start to learn to value sleep as much as we do diet and exercise. When we're getting adequate and restful sleep, the body is able to restore and repair itself overnight to keep the hormones balanced, and also to prevent any other types of dysfunction from happening. When our sleep is disrupted or short in duration, the body is not able to fully recover at nighttime, and this also dysregulates cortisol, which is one of the main hormones I'm going to talk today. And whenever cortisol is dysregulated, this creates a domino effect in the rest of the body. So sleeping is one of the most important things that you can do in order to help the body be balanced all of the time. Now, sleep is partially about how much you're getting, but it's also about the quality of sleep that you're getting. But before I dive into the actual aspects of sleep, I want to explain the connection here with some of the hormones a little bit more for you. So let's consider this classic textbook example that you might have heard before of, back in the day, with our ancestors, if a lion was chasing them, our body would act effectively in that time of stress to release cortisol, and cortisol then helps to raise glucose levels in the body. It helps the liver to convert the stored form of glucose, glycogen, back into glucose for availability as energy. So as this lion's chasing you, your body raises cortisol, the stress hormone, and then also cortisol raises glucose levels in the body so that you can act effectively, to think quickly and to move quickly in order to escape the lion. Now, when this happens, there's a surplus of glucose that's then in the body that the body utilizes through this physical activity of, running your butt off to escape the lion. However, in our modern day society, we don't encounter lions on a day-to-day basis, but we do encounter other types of stress, such as crappy coworkers or disgruntled bosses, sitting in traffic, or relationship challenges. And on a physiological level, our body perceives this stress exactly the same as if a lion was chasing you. So under these circumstances, when you have these stressors going on in your life, your body is releasing cortisol and elevating glucose as a result of it. However, in these modern times right now, we sit more than our ancestors did. So when you encounter these crappy coworkers or traffic and cortisol and glucose levels are elevated, you're not running or utilizing any type of energy to burn it off. And this surplus of glucose that's now in the system and cortisol that's chronically happening over time as you encounter all different types of stress throughout the day continues to contribute to insulin resistance, because the surplus basically triggers the cells in your body to stop answering the knock at the door for glucose and insulin, as I discussed in a blog a couple weeks ago that you guys can check out. So you might be wondering, well, what does this all have to do with sleep? Well, all of a sudden we turned the tables and started talking about cortisol. Well, when we get inadequate sleep or not restful sleep, or we're not sleeping during the right times, all of those things can also disrupt cortisol balance in our body and create hormone dysregulation everywhere, just like encountering stress does. So when we are not sleeping, as I mentioned before, when we're sleeping in short duration, this is one of the ways that we can disrupt cortisol. When we're getting good amounts of sleep and sleeping during the right times, this helps to balance cortisol overall. So this perceived stress of the body from inadequate sleep has that same effect as if that lion was chasing after you. So chronic periods of sleep deprivation create this cortisol dysfunction. I've even seen with certain clients, as we're doing testing, cortisol patterns that are flipped completely upside down because of dysfunctional sleep habits. Either they're going to bed, super late, way after midnight, working shift doing shift kind of work, like being a nurse or a firefighter, or their sleep patterns are just disrupted. They're waking up all throughout the night, and that can create cortisol dysfunction. So on top of sleep creating this cortisol dysfunction, which then leads to glucose dysfunction and insulin resistance, there have also been studies that have shown that inadequate or short durations of sleep affect two other hormones known as leptin and ghrelin. And these two hormones help to regulate appetite and satiety. So when we are not getting adequate sleep, these hormones, leptin and ghrelin, they go up, which then decreases our ability to sense kind of satiety and increases our appetite. So you probably have experienced this before, maybe when you've had a night of crappy sleep or you aren't getting enough sleep, you're constantly feeling hungry. So one of the reasons that that's happening is because when your body is searching for food as a source of energy because it's fatigued from inadequate sleep, and two, because this inadequate sleep is having an impact on those hormones, leptin and ghrelin, that are affecting your appetite and satiety. So even though you're constantly eating, when those hormones are dysfunctional, it's going to continue to make you feel hungry and you're not going to be satisfied from that food. So this can then lead to overconsumption of food or too much food too frequently, which that in itself can also contribute to insulin resistance when we're constantly eating, flooding the body with food to process. And during those times when we're feeling hungry and fatigued, we have a tendency to also reach for foods that are more carbohydrate based, and more carbohydrates on a regular basis. And eating them frequently can also contribute to insulin resistance, which causes weight gain, leads to diabetes, as well as hormone imbalances. So again, like I said earlier, we have to learn to value sleep as much as we do diet and exercise. So I want to give you guys some takeaways for today on how you can start sleeping your way to balance blood sugar, weight loss, and better hormone balance. So 3 key rules that I say to abide by are, number 1 is 10 p.m. is quitting time. So you should be asleep by 10 p.m. most nights of the week. And that's because our body is on an internal clock that is based upon the sun cycles. So we have a natural rhythm of cortisol that happens in our body, and the morning time it should be at its highest, and then the evening time it should be at its lowest. And this is triggered by the sun rising and the sun setting and the ranges in temperature as a result of that. So as the sun sets and temperature drops in the evening time, cortisol should naturally drop, meaning that we should then be asleep around sometime at 10 p.m. And this is also because from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is when our body does its most critical restoration and repair. It does all these functions internally that help to restore it. So if you're missing that critical window of sleep time from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., your body is missing out on that opportunity to do this critical repair and these critical functions. And no matter how much you sleep, you cannot make up for that time that is lost. So I guarantee you, If you can consistently get to bed by 10 p.m. most nights of the week, you're going to start feeling an increase in energy. It's going to balance your cortisol levels. It's going to help to improve insulin balance in the body and glucose, and promote weight loss and hormone balance and all of those other things that we've been talking about. Now, rule number 3 to abide by is that you want to basically fuel yourself with some fat. So fueling yourself with fat before bed can help to balance blood sugar overnight. Now, this might sound really backwards from, what you're used to hearing. Like, most people think that you're not supposed to eat anything before bed, but that's actually not necessarily true, especially if you find yourself, waking up consistently in the middle of the night, particularly around the time from 2 to 3 a.m. So when that's happening, when you're waking up in the middle of the night, that could be a sign that your blood sugar levels are dropping, and therefore the body is releasing cortisol as a result of that to bring them back up so that your body can still do all of its functions like breathing and your heart beating and all those things. Well, cortisol gives you energy, so as your blood sugar drops at nighttime, cortisol is then released, then you feel this surge of energy that wakes you up. So eating a balanced snack, maybe with some fat and protein before bed, can help to balance your blood sugar levels while you're sleeping. So some of my favorite bedtime snacks include like a little truffle that I make out of chocolate bone broth protein powder and a little bit of coconut oil mixed to like a paste consistency that I stick in the freezer to solidify. Or I like to make a chocolate pudding out of avocado, full fat coconut milk, as well as that chocolate bone broth protein powder. So rule number 3 is less lights are more. So this is important about preparing yourself to go to sleep. So one of the things that triggers the release of cortisol in our body is exposure to light, because it makes the body think that the sun is still up. It can trick the body into thinking this. So in the evening times, I want you to be really mindful around how many lights you have on in your home. Look to dim lights whenever possible. Maybe get yourself some blue blocker sunglasses to wear if you're on your devices, or go into your devices, your computers, your iPhones, and set the night shift settings on there so that your screens turn like into a rose color instead. By reducing your overall light exposure, it's going to assimilate the sun setting just like as it's doing outside, so that your body can follow that natural rhythm, lower cortisol levels, and help you get some restful sleep so it can do its restoration and repair at nighttime. So those are the 3 rules, basic rules to abide by, that again are going to help you sleep your way to balanced blood sugar, to weight loss, reducing inflammation, balancing hormones, and preventing chronic diseases or conditions such as diabetes, autoimmune, and all other kinds of things. Now, sleep is just one critical piece of the puzzle in all of this. So I would say start here and work on this, but of course there's other pieces. So if you're interested in uncovering other hidden pieces of the puzzle for you to help, improve your insulin and glucose balance in your body, to lose weight, to balance your hormone, to prevent any type of conditions or health issues, then I want to invite you to schedule a complimentary consultation with me. You can click on the link below or back in the email where you got this video, and let's talk about not only your sleep habits and how that can support your health, but anything else that might be going on for you too. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I will see you next week on the blog.